right. Hi, world. How you doing? I'm Ashari, and welcome to the Uniquely Wired M podcast. Today is a special day, of course, like any other. I am here with a panel of beautiful women, Shaka Sis and Miss Sean. Short and sweet today, but it's still going to be an amazing show. Today's topic is girl code relationship. Now, before we get started, of course, we have to get to know the panel and who they are and what they are about, what they got going on. So I am going to start with Miss Sean tomorrow, and yeah.
Well, hello, world. My name is Sean. I am an entrepreneur. And under that entrepreneurship, I have a massage therapy practice. I make my own CBD, all natural and all organic pain relief line here in Las Vegas. I am here in between Las Vegas and Houston. So I'm bi-coastal, West Coast, South Coast.
Hey.
Third coast, whichever, we'd like to call it, whichever way. I'm excited to be a part of this panel to share my thoughts, my opinions, and hopefully what I have to say and what we have to say collectively can help free somebody, heal somebody, bring somebody to something.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, that was actually nice. That was a cool commercial too. You sold that. And then we have Miss Shaka Sis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaka Sis. I am a performing artist, mompreneur. I have many businesses. One of them is my jewelry line, Shaka Fly Brooklyn, and also my t-shirt line, Afro Vegan, shameless plug. I am a mom of 3, and I love what I do. That's it.
Yes.
Gotta do that.
All right. Yes. Normally, I noticed, because I haven't shared who I am and all the above, but I had planned on doing something different outside of just the panel because I really wanted people to know who you guys are. But I'll speak since it's 3 of us today. But my name is Mashari, and I'm also an entrepreneur, a mompreneur, and I do everything from hair, makeup, jewelry. I'm a teacher. I'm also a mom of a beautiful teenage girl and twin boys that are 1 and driving the world crazy. But I wanted to put this together with women that I admire, love what they're about. And when it comes to just certain conversations that I feel no one is really speaking on, I felt like this panel of women will be perfect. And just sharing our thoughts as well as what Sean said, and just hopefully encouraging others to, have that needed conversation maybe with their friends and, just learn something from us as Black women doing our thing in this crazy world. So, yeah. If you're just joining, that conversation that we're talking about today is girls code relationships. So let's just bring it to the do's and don'ts of how you how you should be with a friend who is in the relationship, and then you being that friend who's in a relationship, how you should, the codes as to how you treat that friend who isn't. So, yes, if that made sense, I hope it did. But yeah, let's dive right on in. Have you ever encountered a jealous friend while you're in a relationship?
Oh, yeah.
So this will be more so being story time, and then do our story time, just breaking down, what we grasp from that and make those bullet points of the do's and the don'ts of what happened in that situation, what we should and should not do. But
so,
go ahead.
We were young. Okay, so I was about 18 years old. I had moved out of my mom's house when I was 17. So, I was out here. I was in a relationship with a man. And we lived together. And during me taking, there was this young lady who I befriended. My mate at the time was having a housewarming. We were having a housewarming. Invited his friends. So I'm like, let me invite this young lady, who I was just getting to know, to my home so that we could, I could at least have somebody to talk to. right?
Mm-hmm.
So she and my partner hit it off, very well or what have you, and they had something in common. They both smoked. I never smoked. So we would all hang out all the time or whatever, and they would smoke and they would go on the roof or whatever. And I was just so young and naive, not really understanding that you might not want to allow that to happen. But to me, I'm like, whatever. She's a friend. They're just smoking. I don't smoke. I don't want to be around it. It's fine. So one day, this older woman, she was a wife. She had 2 children. She came over to the house with us because we were working on something for, our rites of passage, right? So she came over and she was hanging with us. We were rehearsing. And then my partner came home and she was like, oh, okay, it's time to leave, So this is like protocol in a married woman's head, right? That once the husband comes home, it's time for you to leave. And then she realized that my friend wasn't leaving. So she pulled me to the side and she was like, she's gonna stay? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Why wouldn't she stay? She's like, it's just protocol. You're in a relationship, you live together, if your man comes home, it's just common knowledge that, it's time for you to leave when the man comes home from work. So that was that energy. And I was like, that makes sense. So then here I go. Trying to be like, okay, maybe you should leave. So then she was like, she basically refused to leave.
Oh.
She basically refused to leave and was like, yo, what if my friends say what happened to my friend? Right? And my boyfriend at the time, he was just a shady cat.
Loving all the drama of it all.
Wow.
He just loved the energy. He just loved it. So she refused to leave. And I was like, okay, I don't know, and try to reason and say, okay, this, what if my friend is like, what happened to my friend all of a sudden? Why isn't she hanging out? And his, he just wasn't a good boy. He just wasn't a good boyfriend. At the end of the day, he wasn't a good boyfriend because he should have sided with me instead of, allow, because it was his space. And I moved in. So it was kind of not, I didn't necessarily feel like it was our space. So I didn't really have ownership or dictatorship over who stays and who goes, right? Even though we did live together. So it was like a situation where, then this whole situation escalated. We ended up fighting. It was like this big thing, I told her many times, don't come over to the house when I wasn't there. So that was a thing. I was like, don't come over to the house if I'm not there. I came up from work. Saw her shoes in front of my door. So she's hanging with my man while I'm not there. That for me, even in my naivety at the time, I at least knew, don't do that, right? You don't do that. You're not hanging with my man as my friend when I'm not home in my house.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So and me in my rage, I took her shoes and I went downstairs and I threw it in the garbage outside.
As you should. Trash belong with the trash.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I said to her. So it ended up being a thing, And then I realized that he had broke his ankle, and I realized it was karma, right? So he had broken his ankle, and she was like, where are my shoes? Getting ready to leave. It was like, all of a sudden, you want me, to not come over because you're listening to some chick, the elder. She called her a chick. Just listening to an elder, and now, all of a sudden, you just acting brand new and funny style. So, then she was getting ready to leave. She's like, where are my shoes? I was like, your shoes are in the trash where you belong. And, she was trying to fight me. He stopped and he was like, I'll go get your shoes. She's like, I'm not going to let you go down. So I knew they were sleeping together at that time. She's like, I'm not going to let you go down the stairs, with a broken foot. I was like, okay, you're his protector now. So it was like this whole drama filled situation. And we ended up breaking up as a result of her, And then as soon as we broke up, she was trying to move in. They were
Wow.
still together. So it became like this big thing where, and he knew, of course, she's not me. And that's, she was basically using him. So, and he realized, okay, I just lost a good woman, well, young lady, because I was mad young, um, messing with this chick. But,
Yeah.
thank God I dodged that bullet.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yes.
I have more stories.
I was gonna say you can keep going because this is kind of like
This is
storytelling
good,
because it shows the different dynamics of how what girl code within going through that situation is, and we'll just do all the bullet points after. But yeah, this is kind of like story time because I brought this situation up because I wanted to vent out some stories I had for myself. Some women, they might not understand in that moment why you do what you do because we do seem to be more emotional than anything. But maybe gradually as time go on, they'll come to that realization, oh, she was right about that. But we'll probably never give you that credit or let you know that you was right about something that, stood out about them. But wow.
So I wish her well.
Yeah, as you should.
Well,
As you should.
but it has to be from a distance because
So, do you want to share any stories of encounters with jealous friends while you were in a relationship?
So, as I'm thinking back and as I was listening to Shaka's stories, I've been blessed enough to have a small group of girls that I've grown with, gone through things with, and we all have different tastes in men and in relationship styles. So we've never really had an issue with a man or another. Where our issues came in was me being the single person wanting the married life and the married woman wanting my single life. So we flip flop on those things. So I was the first to be married in my group of friends, and I was the first to be divorced. So I experienced having children, being married before all of my friends while they were out, living their best lives. I was at home being that single mother. And so the roles, it was never, and just from that single mother standpoint being at home, I myself was a little envious of my single friends because I was like, here I am, they were out dating and figuring out life. And here I was doing something that I had a responsibility to take. But in terms of relationships, now that the roles have turned, so now all of my friends are married and I believe I'm the only single one. So what happens now, the dynamics have changed, is whereas we used to always be this one huge unit or this one unit, now it's sporadic here and there. For a long time, as the single friend, I felt a certain kind of way. Because I was like, these my girls, we were supposed to grow old together, right? We were talking about all of these plans we were going to do, but nobody talked about the life in between and the life altering experiences that would happen in between here and there. So I would say for me as a single woman watching my friends go through relationships, I, number one, have had to learn to watch my tongue. Number one, as a spiritual woman and as also a woman that respects my friends' relationships, I try not to speak on their marriages. I try not to speak on their relationships. I just listen, right? I learned to listen because at first, now I'm not gonna lie, at first I used to be that friend. Girl, forget him, leave him, because again, you made the point of a single woman is gonna always want you to be single, right? So if there's problems in the home, what's gonna be? Oh, girl, leave him. Oh, girl, he ain't no good. No. And so I, in my own maturity, had to learn that that's not it. right? So I became the devil's advocate for my friends. They start rolling their eyes at me. Well, no, sis, you ain't right. Let's talk about what your husband thought. Let's talk about what your man thought. I'm gonna always be that 360 devil's advocate person. We all want to ride for our homegirls. I am that ride or die homegirl for my girls, for my sisters, right? But with time, with age, with maturity, that changes, because that can turn into a problem. It can absolutely turn into a problem if it's not addressed by the individual. I know I'm supposed to be telling a story, but it is like just telling the story from a single woman standpoint, having a group of friends that are all married. Like, I've had to personally change as their single friend. There's no jealousy because I am a lover of love. I love seeing my friends happy. I love seeing anybody happy in love. For me, that happiness and that me being able to exude that knows that one day that will come back around for me.
That's so true. That's before we go any further, we're going to take a quick break. And we'll be right back after these messages with some more of the question of the encounters with jealous friends while you're in a relationship. So. And we're back. Thank y'all for joining. This is Mashari with the Uniquely YNM podcast. I'm here with the panel of Shaka Sis and Miss Sean. And the topic of conversation that we're talking about is Girl Code Relationship Edition. And we're in the middle of telling stories about encounters with either jealous friends while we were in relationships and things of that nature. So it'll be my turn. I'll start with knowing that I've always been, like, growing up, I was teased a lot. So when I decided to break out that shell and like be Mashari, I was actually loved by both men and women. And I remember like 3 particular situations with 3 different friends from different age groups. So I'll start with my friend from childhood. Like we met when we was like 5, 6 years old, and we were like great friends, you know, just being regular kids together. And I remember as we grew older, I remember being that child that was like, oh man, I wish there was a way I could find my friends. Like, I'm grateful for Facebook, but I was one of those friends that made sure I got your number, your address, knew where you lived and everything before, you know, I was able to even know how social media was even going to turn out. Cause I was always wanting to be close to the people I knew. Back in the days, I would say I had hundreds of best friends, you know, but as I grew older, of course, I'm down to like 1 or 2, but but early on, when I was definitely in my mature days, my immature days, I would say, but not fully. It's just more so I wasn't thinking with the right mind, and I was a bit out there, and but I was also a free spirit. So I was, like I said, I was loved by both men and women, right? So with this particular friend, my childhood friend, when I found her on Facebook, it was like, Oh my gosh, yo! But during this time, even though I found her on Facebook, I was in a relationship. I was in a relationship since I was 17, and it lasted 15 years. So I had found her while being in this relationship, but like I said, this was just a childhood friend, like nothing of that sort, but just friendship. And but with my relationship, I was at a point where, like, we're young, we're free, we can do whatever. So I was into having fun with other people, engaging with us, that type of thing. And, but I always found it very interesting that it was never really for my ex at the time. It seemed more for me. And, but in a way of like say for instance with this friend, we finally saw each other. We got to, I didn't think of nothing with her, even as I'm thinking about it now. And we just was hanging out. Like she would come and hang out with me and my guy, and this, that, and third. And she was just like, Mashari, I like you. Like I really like you, like that type of thing. And I'm just like, girl, if you like me, you gotta like my man too. So it was like that type of situation. And but she would like definitely always want to hang out, and didn't really care for hanging out with my guy with me or whatever. And I'm just like, I love him so much. We can't do stuff unless it's something where we're all doing something together type of thing. So one time we had some fun, and we all had some fun. And it didn't go as well as I thought it was, but it's not that I was jealous or anything. It's just that it was, really on her part. But it was like, I want to say like maybe after that encounter, maybe like a few months later. Actually, I remember the particular day, but it was Halloween, and we decided to go hang out. Went to a party, and at this party, my ex didn't go with us, but at this party, like she just wanted to just cling to me. And I was just like, girl, like I don't, I'm looking at you as a friend. Like, yeah, we did something that was fun or whatever, but I'm not looking at it as something like a biggie. And like to the point where like she, like everywhere we went, she wanted to hold my hand type of thing. Hold my hand. Everything was hold my hand or hold me, and I was just, at first it was okay because I used to hold my friends' hands while walking that I never did something with. It was just like, okay, and we left this particular party, and her energy changed in the way of like, I was holding her hand on the way to the party, and then she wanted me to hold her hand on the way back. And I'm just like, girl, I'm not trying to do all of that. And she was like, what's the problem? You don't want me? You don't want to act like we've been together? You want to, like, she made a big scene behind it. And it was just like, girl, like I'm not even like that with, like, stop making such a big thing about it. But it turned out it was because she was really wanting me, and she was really hoping that, we after that encounter, like, I guess me and her was supposed to be something. And it wasn't nowhere near that at all. But it definitely made a strain on our relationship as a friend. And it was kind of like hurtful on my part, because I was like, dad, girl, I kind of wish we never did something, because we were actually cool. Like, we were really cool as friends, and that kind of like, yeah, that happened. And I learned from that, like, one, don't ever try to include your friend in a situation with your partner, because it's not the fact that she might want your partner, she might want you. So it was that. But yeah, and then I had another situation where my junior high school friend, and to be honest, I don't even want to call her a friend, which I should have known from this picture that my mother took on prom day. Like, literally in my prom picture, like, I'm standing there looking all beautiful in my purple gown, and she literally standing on the side looking at me like this in the picture. And I should have took that as something, but I didn't. We had ran into each other, and she was like, "Oh, Miss Sherry." I'm like, "Oh, such and such. How you doing?" And me and her became like cool, and I was still in my relationship with my ex. No, I didn't take it there with that type of situation, but this was genuinely me just being her friend. and she became our friend because I always would tell my partner about everybody, so it wasn't like I was keeping anything to, I was definitely open and honest and be like, yo, this is my homegirl, what I mean, I would like her to come and hang out and stuff with us and this and third, and he'd be like, okay, whatever you want, Michelle Harry. Like he was okay with whatever. So she started hanging out with me. We started hanging out a lot and everything was cool for years, like, but I noticed. So if we started hanging out starting, let's say 2012, no, 2010. Yeah, 2010 is when we started hanging out. Every 3 to 6 years we would break up like as friends and not talk for a whole summer, or something will always end up happening. It's always around the summertime. So if we was talking from 2010 to 2000, let's give it even 2015. That was our first breakup. And in that breakup, I remember her saying, like, oh, you just think you're all that because you're in a relationship. Let's see how you do after not talking to each other for a while. I bet y'all be doing better than you the next time we speak. So it became like a competition within, like, girl, I'm always be doing good. Rather you think I'm not or not. So, and it was so interesting because we would end up being cool again. And I started to feel like I'm being cool just to prove a point to her. And but within that, every time we came back together, her situation seemed to get a little lower and lower while mine was still getting higher and higher. Every time we spoke again, it was like, oh, y'all still together. Oh, you got this going on. Oh, you working with these people. Oh. And for her, it was just always the same, just chilling, smoking at somebody's house or this dude's house or that. It was never something that was growing on her part. She did things with me that made me feel like, after this point of me like letting her know, like, we shouldn't be doing this. We Black women, we should be sticking together and this, that, and the third. Like, we should want to see each other grow. I don't care if you feel a way about who I am. Like, I still love you and this, that, and third. And we stopped completely talking after that. And that was the last of me dealing with her, like, to this day. But
how long ago was that though?
September. That was September of this.
So time will tell.
Yes, time will tell with that one.
See.
Yes, but she taught me so much, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this, like the girl code friendship, because it's a mix of, like, I felt like I was in a relationship with her as far as just going back and forth with so much with her, but at the same time, just how people are not really your friends when it comes to, like, all the, because she said so much things while I was in a relationship, try to break up my relationship. She tried to do so many things that was just like, didn't help who she was as a person. And it's just like, I really tried to give this girl many chances, which is also girl code. Like, you know what? There's but so many chances you give somebody before they show their true colors, and you have to just, like, let it go. So I had to learn that as far as that whole situation. I'm hoping the beautiful audience, this is I hope this is great entertainment and life lessons for you guys. But we'll be right back after these messages. And we'll be back with moving on to the next question. So I appreciate y'all for joining, and stay tuned. After these messages, we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank y'all for joining. If you're just joining us, you're gonna have to go all the way back, because this is too much to keep bringing back up. But yes, we're talking about girl code relationships. So we just finished sharing some stories about being in either relationships or friendships, and how they turned out. And with that, we are now going to go into the do's and don'ts of being friends, either in a relationship or not. I'll start with saying, like, now that I'm in a relationship, and I do have single friends. Um, I do think that there's there's a respect that needs to be
Absolutely.
addressed and happen as a bullet point for if this was a manual of how you're supposed to be within that um, friendship. But if I introduce you to my man, please don't be all up on him trying to hug him and kiss him. You know, don't try to bring up anything from my past that could easily be something that have him questioning me in the middle of the night.
Because why are you doing it?
You know, and it's like those be like some kickers that I really will slap you for, and have to really show my other side that I'm trying to, you know, show that I've grown from. You know, but yeah, is there anything that you guys could think of when it comes to, you know, some do's and don'ts that you don't appreciate or wouldn't want while being in a relationship from your friends?
How about Sean speak since I spoke so daggone?
Well, I will speak absolutely from. Am I the only single woman on this panel today?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to speak from the single woman standpoint as someone that has the utmost respect again for relationships. There are absolute things that I do not do as a single woman around my married friends and their husbands. Number one, if they are my sister, they are my brother. I always address them as such. Hey, brother, how you doing? I am the one that will give them the dap. Hey, brother, what's up? What's up? You know, thumbs twisting. I'm good for that. We don't have to be hugging. We don't have to touch like that because I'm uncomfortable in that, because I don't want anybody to ever think that it's a mistake. It's anything in between there, because I have that utmost respect for my sister and my brother. I do not have conversations with my brothers without my sister being present. If my sister don't know we're having a conversation, we don't have a conversation. I don't put myself in places. And again, I'm just the one that overthinks, because I don't want anyone to do any of that to me when I'm in a relationship. Even in my dress code, if I know that I'm going to be around my married friends and their husbands, my dress is even different. That does not mean that I'm not going to be myself. That just means I'm going to dress respectful so that my friends' husbands don't get an inkling or an idea. Not to say that they will, but again, as a person that I try to think on the 360 round, I don't want to get any type of wrong vibrations, any type of misunderstanding, miscalculation, or anything. And that just, again, comes with the basic of respect. If the respect is there, the mindfulness, the awareness is going to be there. But if the respect was never there, you got to watch your back and your man's back. And that's just the realness of it. There are some thirsty single women out here that will pretend to be a friend just to get what you have or what you built. They out here and they looking, they thirsty.
Yeah. Just a little piggyback off a little bit of that. Just knowing social media nowadays, because I try not to post so much of my relationship. Like I'll put it sometimes in my stories or something, or you might see us once in a while on my page, but it's not for a long period of time. And the same with my partner. But I do know that it be those same females that will actually like so many of his pictures, shoot, before I even like the damn picture. Yep. And it's like, well, who the heck is, where you come from? Like, you know, it's those type of people who know that that's, you know, we're connected. But it's just like, you know, you don't have to like every one of his pictures, you know, you don't. And then once in a blue, you'll come on my page because you might feel the energy of me saying something and come like one of my pictures. You know, just like, girl, don't do that. Don't
let you know.
Don't do that, because I know all about all of that. I know that. So, you know, I've been there. I know how that go. But yeah, so I don't appreciate that. Shaka, do you have any?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see anything wrong with hugging as long as it's a respectful hugging.
Okay.
Right? Like respectful.
It ain't no You know, it ain't no boob action. It ain't no body connection. We can get a shoulder. You know, that's too much. That's too much because see, the third eye is here. We don't want to even connect nowhere near that shoulder.
Like, I mean, the thing is that I don't really have these kind of issues. My husband is so much older that
so he knows better, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't have to, like, that's not even a worry of mine. Like, I'm like, he doesn't even have a social media. Like, it's not even a thing. It's like,
girl, that's great.
That's beautiful.
Great.
Girl, that's
he
beautiful.
got time for none of that stuff. So.
Man,
girl, you made it. Girl, you made it.
That's a good thing, girl. That's a good thing.
I don't really have to deal with any of that stuff. But, you know, my husband, he does not engage women. He does not engage young women. I'm one of very, I guess, few cases. that was a destiny piece. You know, we were meant to be together. But he doesn't engage, you know, people, you know, and women, you know, they kind of throw themselves. But he doesn't engage. No engagement. Zero engagement.
Yeah, that's good. I was about to say, I do get that whole hug too, because I'm not gonna lie. Like, all right, when me and my ex broke up, and that was a 15-year relationship, and then I say from childhood, well, teenage years to, you know, my 30s, I just knew, like, you know, once that happened, it took a lot, but I did have that group of friends who were in a relationship or, you know, with us. Like, we all was coupled up. And I do recall saying to one of my favorite couples, like, listen, y'all are both my boyfriend and girlfriend until I find somebody new. And I would definitely, every time we would talk, I'll let them both know what's going on with me and stuff like that. So they took me in, and, you know, as far as like, because I do come from, like, I have Latin in my family, so we are used to hugging and kissing each other when we do greet each other and stuff like that. So I get that whole thing as well. But, you know, to me, it's a certain, you don't kiss too close to my man's lip, but don't even kiss too close to my lip. You know, it's just like certain things that, I won't tolerate. But I definitely understand, like, knowing that. But also the same thing, like, just off the men's part, like, being respectful, because, like, we've had nannies. Well, we've had a nanny that we stick to, and I know a lot of people have like that nanny story or those craziness where, you know, my man will definitely, how much we owe her, you know, give her, you know, he will have me deal with her over him, you know, how much do I owe you, ma'am, and all this and the third. Is none of the above. So it's just
called proper channels.
Yeah, it's just hi, bye, and, you know, deal with her, and she'll tell me how much it is, and I'll pay. You know, something like that, to where, yeah, that's always good. Something I also feel like can be a great code within stuff like this is knowing what not to say if you do see your friend's husband out in the streets, because I've had encounters where some of my friends who I know were married. I remember one situation where my sister was actually dancing with one of my married friends' husbands, but she didn't know, and he didn't tell her. But I'm watching him dance with my sister like he wanted her. And I mean, we were younger, but it was just like, I'm about to go call your wife and tell her everything. And I remember doing that, and she got pissed off with me. And it was just like, girl, I thought I was helping you out, you know? And
it backfires every time.
It sure enough did backfire on me. And yeah, we're not talking now, but I'm just like, wow, I thought I was helping you out, sis. But then I've also had girls who's like, man, I had to leave him because he was doing that too much. And I was like, I told you, but I didn't want to say I told you, you know, but it was just like, you know, I thought I was doing a good deed with that, but yeah, that doesn't work all the time. So, you know, if you know the person's in love, let people find out on their own. And it plays both parts, because sometimes your friend might say, do you think he's cheating on? Do you think he's doing something? And it's like, you know what? I don't know. That would be something you have to go and figure out. Because, I mean,
what does your spirit say?
You know, it kind of pulls. Are you being a friend if you're not telling her? Or are you being a friend if you're not telling her, even though you might know? It's like, God, you know. Yeah, read the book, read the Bible.
Let's take a moment to go within.
Yeah, I don't know, like so it is those moments and stuff. But being in the community that we are in, as far as from Brooklyn, man, oh man, um, manifestation is really strong. And I do recall while being in my last relationship, letting him know my biggest fears when we broke up. And I hated the fact that I did that because everything that I feared ended up coming into light, like to a T. And so to bring up this bullet, before I bring up this bullet, a quick story of just knowing that towards the end of me and my ex's relationship, like I was doing so well with my business. Things was going so good for me. And he was also a part of that. And so he was, doing the same thing I was doing, but, he started like talking to some of the clients, and some of the clients were my clients, and it was just like, I remember telling him, don't talk to the clients, don't talk to people in this community, because this community is small, and, word will get around real fast. So, don't even play me like that. If you really love me and care for me, you wouldn't do half of that. But I do recall it being times where he did end up talking to certain people, and when he broke up with me, because he broke up with me, when he broke up with me, he kind of grew cocky to me with the fact that he was talking to all these different women, and they were loving what he's doing because he makes jewelry and things of that nature. And there was a few women within the community that I knew would either throw events or have stuff going on, and I would be oblivious, not knowing that they've had a connection. And I would be like, hey, they were like, hey, I'm looking for vendors, or want to be a part of this, and third. And I'll reach out, I'm like, yes, I'll be down. And I would get crickets. And I'll be like, well, what's going on? Why didn't they allow me to be a part of this? And I remember one time, I literally sent him pictures of these women that was throwing events. And I would say, have you slept with any of these women? Or have you did? And he would literally say, yeah, I slept with that one. I did something with that one. I was talking to this one. And it's not that. I said, no wonder they treated me funny within the community. And I was like, one of the things I said not to do, because I'm really popular. I'm really big out here. And it just made it so bad to the point where I started traveling out, started going to Cali, started going to Atlanta, going to New Mexico. I was just traveling everywhere outside of New York to do my events, just to get away from that energy of him being with, different women within the community. And what kind of pissed me off about it the most was most of them knew that we were in a relationship. And it seemed like either they were waiting or kind of helped push him to be out there more. Not saying it was their fault, because in the end it was his decision, but it didn't help knowing that they were hurting somebody, because they were hurting me. In the end, I was the one who ended up being hurt by the whole situation overall. But as time passed, I ended up befriending a lot of the women that he thought was going to be, because that's another thing too. I'm always about like girls, like us coming together, like no matter what a situation is, we still gonna we gotta stick together somehow, some way. It's getting harder for women to just really be happy for one another, or not really show like they're envious or something. It's just like, when are you gonna grow up? So it was either I was gonna shy away from all of this and be embarrassed, or like really show my hurt, or will I embrace it and really understand like, okay, things happen, but hey, we still here. And I remember doing that with a few sisters, right? But he already had told me that they did something together, and they didn't know that I knew. And I would, come around or, support their business and this, that, and third. And they would be like, oh, me and such and such, yeah, we cool, we friends and this, that, and third. But yeah, I love you and this, that, and third. And I would come out and be like, girl, you ain't gotta lie. I know y'all did something. And they would be so mad that I know. They were like, oh my God, he told you? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, sis. Oh, I didn't know. He told me that. And I was just like, girl, it's okay. It's all right. you know, and I had those moments. I even had a few of them show up to my topless brunches that I used to throw. And I just always left it at like, just as a girl code, we should not always assume that someone's actually done with a relationship.
Yeah.
Because once a guy, like my ex, even though he could have been my like a full-on ex, perhaps we were still together to some degree, where he might be saying that he's single, but we're still together in other ways, to where it's still a connection there. And I will always say, as a girl code, just know, if a man that you know was in a relationship and he comes at you trying to holler at you, do not be quick to be like, oh shoot, he want me, he chose me, this and third. Perhaps you should reach out to that girl, like, hey, are you and this guy still together, or being or working? Like, what's happening? Because he has been trying to reach out to me. I feel like that would help a lot of how a lot of women take on these relationships with men that they know are probably still messing with the ex or something. You know, I feel like that's a respect that should definitely be there. Like, you know, reach out to the female that you know he was with, just in the case, because he might be lying to you, and that could definitely show us coming together against a man that would do something like that to them, because most likely he would do the same thing that he did to me to you. So it's like, instead of us not, you know, being for each other, I mean, instead of being against each other, we should probably try to, you know, make him feel stupid, you know, like the boy is mine, and how they both ended up in the same room, and he opened the door and he saw both of their asses. Yeah, mother. Like, yeah, he thought you was going to
video. They're in both video where all of them were yelling at him on stage. The same.
Yes. Yeah. So
the same guy from the Girl Is Mine video.
Yeah. So that's one thing I would definitely say we should start doing more of. Like, if you know that person was in a relationship and all of a sudden he just hollering at you, all of a sudden, check with that female, because most likely he's still with her. You know, you just never know. Another thing is, like, because within that situation, he, like, some of the people would befriend me, not knowing that, you know, like I said, I knew about certain things, and then end up with him, had a full-on relationship with them, but considered themselves being my friend. And I'm just like, we can't sit here and call me my friend if you really, you know, technically had some deeper, you know, ways of just knowing that you was really, your motive with trying to be cool with me was to get to him. You know, it's just like, you know, certain things I feel like with that definitely shouldn't be doing. But yeah.
Okay. I have a situation where I guess I'm on the other side. Can I share?
Yes. Go ahead.
Back in the day, me and my crushes, right? So I had a person,
girl.
I had a crush on this person because I was like the young one on the scene, so it was like everybody was a lot older than me, so it was always like a crush because, you know, you the young one, you the baby, and nobody's taking you seriously. Yeah, you the baby of the. So it always ended up being crushes, things that I couldn't really act on because everybody was older, right? So had a crush for a very long time, and then a girl that I befriended because we were in like a dance company together. She ended up dating the guy, but she didn't really know about my crush. And they ended up dating and ended up being a thing. They were never in a relationship, but they ended up dating. And I just remember her being obsessed with him. And, you know, I was secretly obsessed with this person for years. She didn't know. So then I was just waiting to get older.
Waiting to get older.
Enough for him to look in my direction. So they ended up dating or whatever. Then years passed. She ended up getting married. I was like, I could do it now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, is that okay? It's been years. She's married. Like, is that an okay situation? Is that going against girl code
Well, what you and her best friends? Were you and her cool at all?
We weren't even talking anymore. We weren't even in each other's lives anymore.
So no, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's an issue. I remember a situation in high school. I was dating a boy, and like he was such a cool guy, gave me gifts and stuff. But I remember being like, "Oh my God, you're so good. You're such a good guy." Like, and maybe I wanted bad boys back then. I don't know, but I just felt like, you're such a good guy. This is like 9th, 10th grade or whatever. But it just was like I remember us being so cool, and one of my best friends at the time. Oh, I was about to say her name. Oh, I'm sorry, girl, but I'm not gonna say your name. But I remember once we broke up, but while we was like on the ends of breaking up, we all started like hanging out more, or like my friend and then my boyfriend at the time. And when we broke up, I remember my friend called me immediately, and she was like, "I know you and such were together, but I just want you to know that I like him, and would you be okay if me and him dated?" Like, she literally called me. I felt that was so respectful of her to do. And I said yes. And these people they ended up together for 8 years, after
I got a similar story.
So I really was appreciative of her doing that. Like, if she probably did that without me knowing, I probably would have felt the way. But just knowing that she was respectful enough, which is, I feel, if you really, even if it might be heartbroken to somebody, let somebody know, so it doesn't feel like it's such a, like, I don't know, vindictive way of you doing stuff.
Or like you're sliding in.
Yes, but how she did it, I appreciated her. I told her, I said, yeah, y'all can have each other. I love you for even saying that. We hung out, graduation came, they were still together. We all took a group picture together, like, 3 peas in a pod. Like, it happens, but yes. That blessing might have been for you, even though, that was the person they were seeing at the time. So no, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
That's how I ended up with my ex-husband. Actually, another story. This is not a crush situation. So this sister was not my friend per se. She was a friend of my friend.
Mm.
Okay? So, but the thing is that the reason why we ended up knowing each other was because she was the first one that my first ever boyfriend dated after we broke up. Strange entanglements, right? So they broke up or whatever, and she was I guess seeing this guy, but I didn't know if she was seeing this guy. Okay. And then I came back from St. Lucia after my breakup with the dude, the same dude, me and the girl or whatever. After that breakup, I came back from St. Lucia, came up to Queen of Foods Temple, went to Holla Black, the spoken thing that they were having, spoken word thing. And I see all these new people. I'm like, who is this? So this one guy is there, keeps staring at me. I'm like, who is this guy keeps staring at me? I would listen to him speak, and I'm like, oh my God, he's very eloquent. Like, the stuff that he's spitting is like some different next level stuff, kind of similar to this book I was reading while I was in St. Lucia. I'm like, who is this guy? Right? So then, so he kept looking at me. So one day I decided I was going to dance with him. So I danced with him, captivated him on the dance floor, whatever, twirled around him or whatever.
Put your spell on him.
Yeah. I put a spell on him. So end up going in like his cousin's car. He had like a dollar van kind of car, was taking everybody home. I sat down. I'm like, I know for sure he about to ask me for my number. He gonna be brave tonight because he keeps staring at me. Brother did not sit down next to me. He went and sat down next to the girl. I was like, oh shit. I was like, did I get them in trouble? Did I get him in trouble? I was like, I hope not. I was like, but why would he let me dance with him like that? She was right there looking, and then she didn't say anything. I was like, they can't be. It don't make no sense.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So then I was like, okay, let me see. His cousin is about to drop her home. Let me see what happens. He got out with her. I was like, oh shit.
Oh no.
Okay. So he got out with her. This girl, and yeah, so I was like, okay, they're together. I forgot about that whole situation. I was like, went on my merry way. Months passed. I come back to the temple or whatever. the dude is there. All of a sudden, he got hair, because he was bald. I found out later that he grew hair because he thought I liked hair. So he's there, and then he asked me if he could call me sometime. And I opened my mouth to say no, and yes came out. I literally feel like the spirit took over my body. No, seriously, like I'm not even joking. I opened my mouth to say no, yes came out. So then I end up sharing a cab. I don't know how I end up sharing a cab with this guy to take me home. Okay, takes me home. I was supposed to go to perform in Syracuse that day. The brother calls me and is like, would you like some company to the train station? Okay. I was like, all right. So then he comes, gets me, we go, we start talking. I found out who his father was. I was like, oh shit, that's some heavy shit right there. So the book that I was reading in St. Lucia, his father wrote the book.
Oh, that's a connection.
Right? His father wrote the book. So I basically, was talking to him. We like all holding hands and stuff. And then, something hit me. And I was like, wait. I was like, what's up with you and this girl? Tell me, what's going on with y'all? And he was like, we kicked it for a minute. That was it. I was like, oh, okay. I guess. Okay. And then I went away. I was avoiding him. I didn't pick up his phone calls. This brother kept calling me. Eventually, I finally pick up. When I pick up, I would be like, oh, I'll call you back. Never call him back. And then finally, he called me. And that was at a point in time when I was deciding that I was going to date my best friend, my guy best friend. Mm-hmm. And, we had just started. We weren't like dealing with each other intimately, but it was like, okay, let's see where this goes, right? And my best friend was there, and he was like, who was that on the phone? I was like, remember the guy that I danced with? Because he know everything. He know all the tea. He's like, the guy that I danced with at the party, blah, 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 blah. He says he has something for me. I'm going to go see what it is. I went to go see what it is. This guy basically jujued me, okay? He had all white on. It was like this whole incense burning. He jujued me. He ended up being my husband. We have 2 kids. We have 2 kids together. That's my ex-husband.
Yeah. I'll put it together.
That's my ex.
I'll put it together.
So, but the thing is, when we decided that we were going to be a couple, the young lady that he was dealing with, that he kicked it with, I called her up. And I was like, sis, I know that we're not as close as we probably should be, being that we're in the same circle, we have the same friends. But from sister to sister, I'm calling you to let you know that and I really care about each other. And we're going to pursue a relationship, but I would like your blessing. Mm. And she said, you and her too. Oh.
I'm going to bleep it out.
You are 2 beautiful people. And if y'all really feeling each other like that, then you have my blessing. But I felt I needed, like, even before, I brought it up to him before. Even before we got deep, I brought it up to him. And I was like, don't you think that we should have this conversation with this sister?
Yeah.
So he was like, well, I'm not concerned about who she's seeing. So I don't see how, who I'm seeing.
Men are going to think like that. Men are going to think, they're not going to think how we are. It's like that guilt trip or that feeling of like, I wouldn't want that karma on me. So I would want to... let me engage with her before.
And of course, we're emotionally attached. They are not.
Yeah.
They're going to think with their brains. And we're thinking, oh, how would she feel? If,
our heart, it's more.
Think we're wired differently.
But that's also why we should that's why I want women we need to be more at one when it comes to either being a blessing for our friends who are in a relationship or who aren't in a relationship. But, it comes from a genuine place and not so much of that jealous streak.
But the role of the friend that was both of our friends, like she knew what was going on both ends. And she was also friend with with my ex-husband. She was also friends with him. So she kind of helped him to get in my good graces as well, also knowing that he was dealing with this person and he didn't really have interest in her in that way.
She played matchmaker, and
Played matchmaker, because that was her homeboy.
Yeah. I know this is. I know y'all probably sitting there with popcorn at this point. But we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with conclusions to this topic and what we're talking about. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. And we're back. If you're just joining us, we are on this hot topic of girl code relationship edition. And if you're just joining us, I'm sorry. I'm gonna always say this. You gotta have to start from the beginning. But in our last little segment before we went to commercial break, there was a question that we had, but we just got so into our conversations that we didn't even get to answer that question. And so I'm going to reiterate that question and just ask the panel of ladies, how do you feel about this? So do you believe that it's better to be friends with people who are in relationships over people who are single?
So my best friend from high school, we've had, I guess, the longest friendship. This year will be 25 years. She's, one of my best people to get advice from, being single, and vice versa. Like, but I think it's just the person. Like, she's cool, but I don't ever have to worry about her, in any way, shape. First of all, she's tall, so she likes tall men. We don't like the same kind of guys or whatever. I'm used to liking short men. My husband is a little taller than my normal guy that I would date. So that's the first thing. We're not attracted to the same kind of men. And number two, she gives sound advice because she has sense. And but I do find that it's easier outside of just talking to her because she just has sense. Talking to women who are married about, your situation or whatever, getting advice from women who are married, it just makes it easier because they understand what you're going through. It's just like attracts like, women who are single, or if you have a single friend, they want you to come out, they want you to do this, do that, all sorts of stuff all the time. They're in that phase of their life. So it's just a different space to be in at whatever stage that you're in. And it's just easier to deal with people who are in the same stage of your life that you're in.
Yeah.
Unless they got sent.
I would agree as well. Like, some of my best friends are not in a relationship, but want to be in a relationship or can't wait to be in a relationship, and their energy has never made me feel like, oh, I can't talk to them about this particular thing because it's going to affect them or make them feel away. It's almost like saying, like, the friends who I had that don't have kids compared to the friends that I know have kids. It's like something that we do connect with, because it's like, girl, I had to wake up 4:00 in the morning for this boy screaming and hollering in the back of me too, girl. Where my single friend's like, girl, I'm just coming in from the club. I don't know nothing about what y'all talking about. It's like, we can't relate with certain things, but at the same time, I don't feel like it takes away from that person, especially if their energy is positive. It's nothing that makes you feel like, oh, they're against, who you are or what you have going on. If anything, it's more admirable and can't wait to get into a relationship. What I get from a lot of my female friends who are single. So yeah, I would agree to say that, yeah, you can get along or have friends that are single while being in a relationship. Sean?
And so, as the single woman, I say that, I do have both because I get both perspectives. Now, of course, when it's time for me to go out, when I want to travel, when I want to turn up, most of the time I am by myself because everyone else, has their families, they have their lives. So I am at a phase in my life where I do have to find more single friends because I can't just call my best friend because my best friend is married. I can't be like, hey, let's go to Mexico next week. Versus if I had one that I could be like, hey, girl, you got a ticket, let's go. So I have more married friends than I do single friends. I will say that. So just being that single friend, that transition has been a little difficult on that. But I will say this, I love them equally both because I get the married perspective. From the married woman, I will get the more grounded answers if she's grounded. Let me say that. If she's present in what she has versus the one that's single with me, we gonna be like, girl, forget it. Let's go cry this thing out on the beach, or let's go do this and be okay. And so for me, I just blend the two. I blend the two types of friends because it gives me, again, I'm always one that likes to look at it from a 360 standpoint. I've got my married perspective. I've got my single perspective. I've got my self perspective. And so for me, 3 is better than 1.
Yeah. Okay. Any last words of encouragement?
I'll say this to what you said, because I know that I want that love, because I know I also want a union. What I put out is always going to be joy, love, and light in light of relationships in unity, because it's something I want. If it's not something I want and I'm putting out this bad energy or I'm putting out this bad vibration, what I'm going to get back? Nothing. So for me, as the single woman, like I said, I love love. I love black love more than anything. Everybody run that back. I love black love more than anything because it's a beautiful thing. So as that single woman, I'm going to always look at your union and be like, okay, God, I love that. I love seeing that. I can't wait till mine comes. And so I feel like as single women, if we are more on that accord, it won't be the looking over your shoulder or to the left of you or to the right of you, because you're looking forward in expectation of what is to come for you. And so from that single perspective, that's how I see it, for sure.
Okay. Anything, Shaka?
Come on, Shaka.
Okay, give me the question again. Not great.
It's just pretty much like
Notes.
Yeah. Yes.
Advice. If somebody's in a relationship, or you think somebody's in a relationship, be respectful of that relationship. Even if you want the person, be respectful of the woman, be respectful of the man, right? That's the first thing. Unless, it's a different kind of relationship, like polygamy or something, right? That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
That's all, unless it's that type of situation where all parties are involved and understand what the situation is, right? But for me, it's like, okay, if this is a monogamous relationship, you don't insert yourself, because respectful of other people, be respectful of other people's love. So that's what, even in the situation, like I guess with my ex-husband or what have you, I was always conscious of this other person who was dealing with you, or you were dealing with it with, even if you weren't, I'm still going to be okay. So what is it? What's going on here? What's the situation? Like, how, what am I getting myself into? Right? You always have to ask questions. What am I getting myself into? And what else? Be respectful of other people's relationships.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That's like the main thing.
Yeah,
because
be respectful.
Yes, because when I look at what both of you guys said, I also just look at you, like, do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
That's what I live by.
At the same time, karma, it comes in many forms if you are coming from a ill intention.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you know these people, if you see someone who's in a relationship, just be mindful, be respectful, because if you in turn was in that, you would not want whatever it was that you was about to bring onto that couple, so.
And when karma comes back around, she don't come back nicely. She don't come back nicely.
No.
Especially when you do to others.
That young lady,
so,
I was telling you earlier in the story, her life didn't turn out so great. First story that I told. Her life didn't turn out great. Neither did his. Truthfully, but it's like, that's what y'all did to yourselves. I'm doing great.
Yeah, you brought it.
No, that was good. I appreciate you guys. This is, of course, a beautiful conversation. I hope you guys learned something, got a good laugh, probably felt something from this that made you think twice about perhaps doing something while your friend is in a relationship or not. And always think before you do with everything in life. So I want to thank the panel, Shaka and Miss Sean, for joining in person. And yes, thank you all. And until we meet again, have a beautiful day, have a beautiful night, or wherever you got going on in the day and the night. And we'll see you next time on the Uniquely Wired Up podcast. Woo! All right. There you are, Shaka.